So 2023, paper 2, question 3b, part 2. So the perpendicular bisector of AB is this equation here. Find the value of L and K. So previously, we had been given A and B and we got the midpoint. So watch the last video before you do this, but the idea here is the perpendicular bisector of AB. So let's draw a quick sketch, which always helps us understand things a little bit better. Okay, so let's say A is B. We know this equation is the perpendicular bisector of AB. So in other words, this is the line that comes straight down on A and B, by minus 14. But if it's definitely a perpendicular bisector, then we know that the midpoint should be on that line as well. Now, the midpoint is the one that we just proved in the last section. So we'll just write it down here again. We're told K plus L all over 2. So K plus L all over 2. Okay, so we want to find the value of A and K. Now, just because I know there's two things we're looking for, in my head straight away, I'm thinking simultaneous equations. So there's certain things that make me, in an exam, it's kind of like decoding the exam. If there's two unknowns, then the chances are it's simultaneous equations. Okay, so what do I know? So I know that if it's perpendicular, the slope of AB is going to be perpendicular to the slope of the bisector, which I have. So it might be no harm to start with that. So the slope of this thing is, we're going to be using the y equals mx plus c idea. In other words, we're going to be isolating the y. So we're isolating the y. And ultimately, we need to get it on its own. So minus 3x plus 14. Oh, sorry, plus 14. And now to get y on its own, we divide by 2. So it's minus 3 over 2x plus 14 over 2, which is 7. So I know the slope is minus 3 over 2. Now, if I know the slope of that is minus 3 over 2, well, then I immediately know that the slope of something that's perpendicular is positive 2/3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually get the slope of AB using that idea. So I write down my formula for any slope. So my slope formula is m is equal to y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. So my point A is minus 1k from the previous section. And we are told that B is 5L, again from the previous section. So if I label x1, y1, x2, y2, my slope is going to be L minus k all over 5 minus 1. So just be careful with your signs here. So L minus k all over 6. Now, I know what m is. I already know the slope is 2/3. So if I cross multiply, I get 2 by 6 is 12, and then 3 by L minus k. So I discover 12 is equal to 3L minus 3k. Now this becomes one part of my simultaneous equation. Okay, so just to reiterate there, the slope is what I started with. So the slope is what I focused on first, and that helped me get one equation. Now, how could I get the other one? Well, I know that the midpoint is on the line 3x plus 2y minus 14. So if the midpoint is on this line, and it definitely is, because remember, it's a bisector. In other words, it splits it exactly into 2. So I know that the midpoint is on the line 3x plus 2y minus 14. Now, if it's on the line, then I should be able to fill it in, and the answer should be 0. So in the place of x, I'm putting in the 2. In the place of y, I'm going to put in my k plus L over 2. And then that's minus 14 equals 0. Now this works out well because the 2's will cancel. So I'm left with 6 plus k plus L minus 14 equals 0. So k plus L, so that's going to be 14, take 6, which is 8, isn't it? 14 takes 6, 8, yeah. So this becomes my second simultaneous. And now, so what I did there was I used the fact that the midpoint, so I used the fact that the midpoint is on the line. And the reason I knew that is because it's a perpendicular bisector, so it cut it exactly into 2. So I know, I'm confident that the midpoint is on the line. Now it's a pretty easy enough simultaneous. So 3L minus 3K equals 12. You can leave it the way it was or write it the other way around, as long as your L's are under your L's and your numbers are under your numbers. So the easiest thing to do is triple the bottom line here. So 3L minus 3K is equal to 12. 3L plus 3K is equal to 24. The K's cancel and I'm left with 6L is equal to 36. And that means that L is 6. Now, if L is 6 and I know that L plus K is equal to 8 and L is 6, well, then I immediately know that K is 2. So my answers are K is 2 and L is 6.